Welcome, everybody. Good morning. My name is Karen A. here in Jerusalem, and this is the Afro-Euro Reco12 podcast. We're here almost every week at 11 a.m. Israel time. That's 9 a.m. GMT, which is the time in the UK. For all of you who are on, pleased to have you, intelligent agent spearheads of God's everlasting creation. On this podcast, we share recovered people who work the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, regardless of their fellowship, their addiction, their affliction. On this podcast, we have CoDA, we have Al-Anons, we have cocaine addicts, alcoholics, gamblers, debtors, clutterers, workaholics, you name it. And if you feel you're the real thing and you need some help to get yourself into the solution, happy, joyous, and free, out of your addiction or your affliction, welcome home. It is my pleasure to introduce you to my fellow Nira. She'll tell you who she is, where she's from, a little bit of her recovery bio, and then she will share on her very special topic, which is dear to my heart. She'll be speaking about grief and recovery, and I'm sure so much more. If you would like to give a seventh tradition to contribute to this meeting and the technical costs, you could go to reco12.com/support, and you can help out by contributing through PayPal or Venmo. If you would like to share, I'm always looking for new fellows and new speakers to be in touch with to share their recovery story here. I'd love to know you all. Put my number in the chat, or you could hit us up through the reco12.com website, record yourself, or send an email to Justin, and we'll get you lined up. Without further ado, here's Nira. Take it away.
Oh, hello, Karen. Thank you, and everyone else who's here. My name is Nira. I'm a sex and love addict. I'm scared shitless that I'm going to say something that, something really stupid. And then it's going to be on audio, and it's going to be able to, everyone is going to be able to listen to it on repeat again and again and again.
You forgot that we can edit it out. This thing gets edited here. And maybe you forgot that you could pray, that God put the right words in your mouth. So you got those two things going for you.
Well, thank you, Karen. Am I supposed to read the bio that I wrote? Or is that, no?
Whatever you want. You could read it. You could share from your heart. The next 25 minutes are yours. Your blank canvas here. You're going to do great.
Yeah. Awesome.
You can start centered.
Sorry? Yeah, I'm sorry, Karen. I can't hear you. I'm going to go with God. And so, thank you so much. Let's see here. So, scared. Really scared. Yeah. Again, but that was my segue, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? All right. Let's see. So, always been afraid. Take two. Hello, my name is Nira. I'm a sex and love addict. I'm a codependent. Most of the time, I am scared. And today I'm scared, and I'm going to say something that will be or sound really stupid. And that it is going to be something that's going to be able to repeat and repeat and repeat. And before I didn't really have a solution to that. So that would be in my mind constantly. I would be like, I remember, like I could lose myself on the bus in my thoughts. Like I would no longer like visibly see what was in front of me. I would be transported to the past or the future, or either to the past and just thinking of like, oh, I should have done something different. I should have said this or that. And that would really put them on the place, right? That I'm gonna make sure that they get a little bit of their own medicine, they dare judge me for how I behave. Or it would be into the future, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be this awesome person. I'm gonna quit the destructive behavior that I engage in, and I'm just gonna be this really cool, awesome person. And another thing is that I used to view myself as the most capable person in the room at the same time, right? There was no trust that anyone could do anything better than me. Like, whatever it was, like, oh, I know how to do that. I read it on the internet. Or like I spent like 17 hours one night reading up on molecular biology and fishes. I don't know. Like I could, everything to take me out of my mind. And it would just only add to the things in my mind. So, like, I view myself as the most capable person in the room, which, if I think back to it, or even think about it right now, like, that's really scary. Because the thing is, I was not able to change the things that I really needed to change. I wasn't capable of doing all the things that I wanted to be capable of. And if I'm the most capable, then no one has any idea of what they're doing. So it took some time for me to find like the willingness and even the open-mindedness to trust that there might be a higher power than me that could solve my problem. I was really stubborn. So at least since I was about 10 years old or something, like I started to act out sexually when I was about 4 years old. And didn't really stop. And then came the potential relationships. And also like the codependency with my parents and my friends and all of this, like it sort of always progressed. But so I started quite young, and it started to become a problem when I was around like 15 years old, something. That's when it maybe even 13, young teens. And I had to start to look for a solution. So I would look for a solution in other people, however that might look like. Usually partners, especially people who were emotionally unavailable to me, because then I could focus on them and I didn't have to focus on myself, because there was so much up in here, like I in my head. I didn't really want that, right? So, but again, like, I wasn't able to solve my problems, so it couldn't be my job either, even if I was the most capable person always in the room. Maybe that makes sense. I don't know. But I always failed, so it had to be someone else's job. It couldn't be me. And I continue to search for this until like the summer 2 years ago, like 2022. Where I was, I didn't know. I was so up in my head of worrying if I could go and pee or not. Could I take some food from the kitchen? Would you be angry with me if I said this or that? So I'll just shut up or smile or mirror what I think that you want me to say. And constantly worrying. Like this constant mind chatter had become only worry. Only, trying to save myself from being hurt. And I couldn't take it anymore. It's not like I didn't know how to survive, because I knew how to survive, but I didn't know how to live. I had no idea of how to live. Like I could survive, and the solution to that was just I'll stop doing everything. I just withdraw. I'll hide in my apartment. I'll hide in a relationship that's that wasn't let's say healthy to me. It was killing me. So, but like the constant worry, it kept me alive for sure, because I didn't engage with the rest of the world. I was just locked up in my apartment, basically. And at some point, where basically, like, I had 3 therapists at the same time, and all of them were like, because I'm searching for a solution in human aid. So I had 3 therapists, and all of them were just like, Nira, you need to seek help. This is not normal. You have these things. We can help you with the mental health stuff, but there's something going on with you. It's something with your relationships. What is it? And I remember my mother's old sponsor. My mother's an NA. And I remember her old sponsor speaking about codependency. And so I reached out to her and asked her if she knew of any meetings. Because at this point, I this might be the human aid I need. And so I get into, I go to the online rooms right in the middle of the pandemic. So, but I find the rooms online, and after a while, I find someone who seemed happy. Like, he seems content. Like, he really enjoys life. I'm like, I want what you have. Because the thing is, like, I was done at that point. I was done. Then I didn't. I relapsed a couple of times, but at that point, I was done, because I could see that I had no idea of what I'm doing, and it became very clear to me. So the honesty part was there for a while, and then it disappeared, because I was like, no, but I need just now. And I also I wasn't really willing to give everything up to God, because I guess that even then I hadn't experienced enough pain. So I didn't have the courage to sit with my emotions. Right. Then we move forward about like 1.5 years. And during those 1.5 years, I started to sponsor, and then I got sick and relapsed, and then I worked with another sponsor, but only for my sex addiction, and didn't include like the love and codependency parts. So I got sick again, and then the third time I worked with a sponsor who I found hope in. That maybe she has a solution to every part of me that is sick. And she was very patient with me in just like helping me. Like, we spent hours helping me find out what it is that is my first drink. Because I didn't know. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand. So here's the thing. I didn't understand that I was using people to, handle my own emotions. Like, I was using outside sources to handle my inner life. And I couldn't see it. I didn't understand it. It was driven of 100 forms of self-pity and self-delusion, fear. There's a fourth thing there, but I don't remember it on top of my head. But I was driven by it for sure. So, but like when she took me through that first step, and I realized that, oh shit, I cannot use other people to handle my emotions, to get away with them or feel them or in any way. I then realized that I have no idea of how to do that. And like, I've tried to find ways to make everything work, but I couldn't. So the necessity of a power greater than me, it became the paramount. Nothing else would solve it, because I've tried everything, right? So we spent hours on step 2 too, because I had a lot of intellectual ideas about what God is. And she helped me find something that I could truly believe in, which today seems, like what I could believe in. Then and there I could believe in was that my nervous system would it's greater than me. I haven't been able to control it. It does. I believe in biology. I do believe that my body wants me to be better, or feel better, get to a better place, to be more than I was. And that was enough for me to find the courage to sit with my emotions. So, and then I did so. And it was really painful. Sometimes I just
Nira, you're cutting out a little bit. I wonder if it has something to do with your reception, or you want to try go off video for a sec. You're cutting in and out.
Okay. I'll go off video. Thank you so much. Is this better?
Try and talk. We'll let you know.
Yeah, okay. So,
okay, Chris says it's good. Anyone else say if it's good? Because maybe it's my issue.
Oh, okay. All right. So, I'll go on. Do you need it? Do you need me to stay off of the recording?
They're saying you're okay, so just go ahead. You can go ahead and turn the video. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So, So let me see. You to find the courage to sit with my emotions. I found that. I found hope that maybe if I just do this, then maybe I'll get in contact with God, because I've tried to find or intellectualize that thing too, and I wasn't able to. And one thing I learned is I cannot act to remove any emotions that I have. That's not the point. The point, at least, like the point God wants me to practice what it is. It's to feel it. It's to sit with it. It's to reflect upon it. Like I needed God to find the serenity to just be, right? I can go to either extreme, no problem. I can stop. I can indulge. I can go haywire either way. But for me to be okay, to sit in the middle, that takes divine intervention. So I have the fears, I have the feelings, and I have no idea what to do with them, right? What do I do with my emotions? And so there's a couple of pages, paragraphs in the big book that I'd like to take us to. And I'll start with the apart from the fear portion of the inventory that we do. That's wrong page. Let me see. Here's a page 68. Like the paragraph that starts, perhaps there's a better way. We think so. We are now on a different basis. The basis of trusting and relying upon God. So what does that mean? Right? To me, it meant that I could feel whatever it is that I have inside of me, because I have already survived it. Something else, something greater must be buried underneath. So, okay, God, you show me. And it says, we trust infinite God rather than a finite selves. I was very finite. Like it's I tried. I really did. I did give it a good go. So I trust that God is infinite. It doesn't mean that I necessarily believe it at the moment, but I trust it. I choose to. And then it says we are on the board to play the role he assigns, right? So all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm supposed to do something with this trust. And it says, just to the extent that we do as we think he would have us, and humbly rely on him, does he enable us to match calamity with serenity. And when I was reading this, and I've read it a couple of times, but when I was reading this one time, I don't know which one, but more recently than not, it's the idea that I have to do as I think God would have me. It doesn't say that I need to figure anything out, really. It's just like, okay, in this moment, what do I think God wants me to do with this? And then actually do it. And so my belief is that my feelings are an indicator of how I'm doing, of how I'm feeling. So if I'm angry at something that I'm not okay with, so why am I not okay with it? Is it something that I'm not doing? Is it something someone else is doing? Is it something I can't control? Like I'll sit with it. And after that, what I do with it is I pray. I pray and I feel, and I usually say I drop down, which means I try to think, I try to feel from like my solar plexus, try to find that ease and comfort, and then focus on that. And all of a sudden a thought occurs, something. And if it's an action, I act upon it, because usually that's what I think that God would have me do. So, but again, like I'm when I'm doing this, I'm still trying to intellectualize it, because there's this idea that, you know, the relationship I was in, that there was this idea that maybe if I just practice this program well enough, then I would be able to stay with this person, even though I get very codependent, triggers my love allergy. Like I cannot safely be with this person at that moment in time, but still I engage, because I'm like, oh, if I just practice these principles in all my affairs, it's going to be great. As like something I usually say when I speak with people new to the program, like during the first step is me. Like I have a friend who's deadly allergic to fish. And if he eats fish, his lips swell up, his throat swells up, he can't breathe, and he dies. He doesn't eat fish again, right? If he has had that encounter, he doesn't go back to the fish. But me, I go back to the fish. I'm like, if I boil it, maybe. What if I, eat it raw? If I take off the skin, like there's always this, like if I can do anything else with it, then maybe that'll work. And so at some point, I'm trying to practice this program without being willing to let go of everything. And it doesn't work out there, right? I survive, I don't live. I do not thrive. So, and then this person died suddenly. And then this March. And I was devastated. I did not know what to do with myself. Like I was in total shock. Something switched deep inside me at the same time while I was in shock. And I cannot explain exactly what happened and why and such, but I believe it's because I in that moment I realized I would never be able to be with this person again. So all options were gone. And I don't, that might not be the most hopeful message to share, but that's my truth. When I came to the point that I realized that the person that was addictive to me, that I couldn't be with him anymore, that this is what it had come to, I let go. And so I'm going to take this page 98. No, we are going to go to page 124. And in the middle of the page, there's this paragraph that says, this painful past may be of infinite value to other families still struggling with their problem. We think each family which has been relieved owes something to those who have not. And when the occasion requires, each member of it should be only too willing to bring former mistakes, no matter how grievous, out of their hiding places. Showing others who suffer how we were given help is the very thing which makes life seem so worthwhile to us now. I'll read the next thing too. Cling to the thought that in God's hand, the dark past is the greatest possession you have, the key to life and happiness for others. With it, you can avert death and misery for them. So, like this tremendous grief, it shook me to my core. I have no idea how I survived, except that I know God. I know this experience of sitting with my emotion and sitting with the grief. I know what it is to have strength to be in that place. I'm begging for God to take the feeling away. And the response I get is, you're fine. You're good. You're doing great. Feel it. And I do not want to, like my entire body, like I do not want to, with everything, with every part of me, with each, like with all the might that I can muster, I do not want to, but still I am. And I breathe. And I am. And like the last part of this paragraph, like cling to the thought that in God's hand, the dark past is the greatest possession you have. The key to life and happiness for others. I'll just take a little drink. Give it one moment. All right. So this cling to the thought that in God's hand, the dark past is the greatest possession you have. The hope that this would come true for me, that this is why I'm sitting through the grief now. When I was sitting through it in March this year and April and etc. Like that thought that in God's hand, this is the greatest possession I have. This will help me avert death for others. And it wrong to say it's proven, like it's been a blessing. And I feel selfish for saying so, because I don't think it's the fact that he died wasn't a blessing, but the fact that I got to sit through the pain and be able to see that it's not going to kill me. It's not going to kill me. It is not going to kill me. These feelings are safe. Doesn't feel like it, doesn't seem like it, but they are safe. They can be there. And I cry. I bawl my eyes out. Like it's this never ending flow of tears. Like it feels like someone's exploded, like, or bombed a dam. And there's so many things that I'm afraid of all the time, but it doesn't matter because I breathe and I am. So there's this very, very, like this truth that I of myself I'm just about to quote like Bill's story in I finally and something like that. It says that I of myself was nothing, and he was everything, something like that. And it's the idea that I cannot depend upon other people ahead of my dependence on God. Right. So let's go to page 98. I was thinking of before. It says like it's not the matter of giving that is in question, but when and how to give. That often makes the difference between failure and success. The minute we put our work on a service plane, the alcoholic commences to rely upon our assistance rather than upon God. He clamors for this or that, claiming he cannot master alcohol until his material needs are cared for, or sex and love, or codependency. Nonsense. Some of us have taken very hard knocks to learn this truth. Job or no job, wife or no wife. We simply do not stop drinking, acting out, so long as we place dependence upon other people ahead of dependence on God. And I think that's really important because I was looking for a solution in other people, right? And it wasn't working. Like 3 therapists at the same time for the same, I was telling myself different things, right? But it was literally the same thing. I'm spiritually sick. I want you to solve it for me. It's not that I cannot depend on other people. But it's just that that's not my solution. That's not the treatment for the spiritual sickness that I have. My treatment is daily living according to the principles or the steps. So it was a very hard knock to learn this truth. But it has placed me where it doesn't matter if I am alone or not. It has placed me where is that 5 minutes?
Yep.
Yeah.
But you could take longer if you need it.
All right.
And everybody, if you have any questions, make sure to write them down for yourself or put them in the chat. Nira will handle them. Take it at your own pace, Nira. We have a full hour.
All right. So the message today that I really wanted to convey is the fact that we need to get out of our emotions and not feel it, to not be angry, to not feel fear or joy or all of these things. It's not something that we can manage. It's not something that we can get out of. It's not something that can be, taken away from us, because it's a part of our human nature. And even through grief, even through the loss of a loved one or like, I'm just thinking of the general anxiety that I sat with before, and how that can come again. And it's an entirely different thing. I don't know if I'm making any sense. If I feel a bit scrambled right now, but it's okay. And it's going to be okay. And it's not something that's going to be done with in a twinkling. It's not something that's going to disappear necessarily any time. But the relationship that you have with your grief, it will change, especially if you work these steps. I know so. Where are we going?
This is amazing, Nira. I'm gonna jump in on what you said here and maybe open it up for questions, because I'm just so touched by you. So if you'll allow me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, people on the line. What you see here in front of you, what you hear here, if you're listening to this recorded, is a woman with a solution. Sorry, I don't know how you identify. That was maybe politically incorrect of me, but I hope that's okay.
Yeah, it's yeah, anything works.
Okay. So what you see here is a spearhead with a solution. See, Nira shared her anxiety at the beginning of the call, and now you even got her, tripping on, emotions, words, and then she just got into the big book. This is what the big book refers to when we're talking about progress, not perfection. This is not an overnight matter, right? But see, no, she delved into.
Oh, Karen, you muted.
Somehow that was it. And you heard before you a totally different fellow than you did at the end of the call. Isn't it ironic? And I kind of paraphrase, the big book talks about it, that the very person who was so hopeless all of a sudden is saving lives and changing the world for others and their families and their friends. How radical is that, people? That the same person who's really nervous and scared and admitted it was able to get vulnerable, get humble, drop it. She said, I love that, because she really dropped, not, we didn't see her get on her knees in front of us, but we did figuratively drop her attitude, drop her ego, drop control, drop anything. She just set that all aside to share and to be of service to you all here today. And that's what we do in this program. None of us, we have 250 promises in the big book. we don't have any guarantee of, eating cotton candy, skipping through fields of daisies, of honky-dory, of peachy, what you want to call it. But we do have a promise that when we put our spiritual life first, everything kind of falls into place. So, Nira, I'd love for you to share about, it kind of happened here live on our magical meeting. But can you share where you kind of got that, when you worked the steps again, when that fell into place for you and you realized that in spite of, your addictions, your afflictions, your codependencies, that, whatever complicated relationships you might have, that when you got in the solution, some magic happened? Can you share on that, how that plays out for you?
Yeah. It's an interesting question, and the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that I am not thinking about it anymore. Like it's literally a fact that I am not up in my head. It's simple, but that's the truth. It's not like I have this immense feeling of relief all the time, but I'm not necessarily ruled by my emotional life either, if you know what I mean. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I love what you just said. So you're not thinking about it now, and that's one of the magical things in the program, right? Because Nira shared about obsessive thoughts and obsessive mind, what's going to happen in the future, full of 100 forms of fear. What happened in the past? Did I say that? Should I say that? Should I make it different? Were they okay? Were they not okay? Full of resentments, delusion, self-pity, drifting. And all of a sudden, this fellow intelligent agent spearhead isn't thinking about that. Because this is a disease of our thinking. And that's why, different from other fellowships where we're talking about just booze or just cocaine or just, whatever it is you eat, snort, suck, do, I don't know what, that came off a bit more graphic than I wanted it to, but it's the truth, right? It's the truth if you're here, laws, fantasy addicts, all that, and what I also hear here is that we have a fellow that's out of fantasy and into reality. So there was all that blah, blah going on in the mind, the disease of the thinking. What am I going to do? And how's it going to be? And what am I going to say? And is it going to be right? And is it going to be appropriate for the audience? It's like, whoa, 100 forms of fear. And that's just what we just do the work. We just get present. We do the work one day at a time, one step at a time. And, I'm going to plug one sponsee at a time, because that is the bright spot of our lives, is working with others, doing service. Okay, this is great. Someone put a question in here, Nira. Lisa, you said that you choose to believe in your nervous system. What's your conception of a power greater than yourself today?
That's my sponsor. Thank you for the question. Today, it is not necessarily a conception that I can understand with my mind. It's an experience of looking at the sky and seeing that everything moves and have a rhythm to it. The fact that on a molecular level, there's no difference between me and the air, or like it's just one mass. But at the same time, it's not. And I move, and this air, it moves too. And then there's this desk, and it doesn't have leg. It doesn't move, but I do. And what's the difference? I don't know, but it's amazing. I cannot explain it. I look at nature and I see this beautiful sun or this flower, and I realize that it's there. It's being present in the moment for what the moment is.
What you're saying that is that, I'm hearing in there, a little bit of maybe re-agnostics, right? A little bit of step 2, choose a power greater than yourself, whatever inspires you, the flowers, nature, saying, wow, there's something bigger going on here. For me, it's exercising. Wow, there's something bigger than myself that can make me feel good if I just submit, to Pilates, or lifting weights or whatever, It's just like, all you have to do is come to believe, right? She saw a flower, she saw a forest, she came to believe. Is that right, Nira? You correct me if I'm off, but that's what I'm hearing.
Well, it's yeah, in a sense, definitely. It's but it's like it's also more than what I can describe. I think it's ecotally, like it's absurd to think that I can voice out God with my words, because it's very limited. This is wah wah wah, I think he says. Because like as humans, we have a very finite spectrum of the words and sounds that we can make, right? But it's more than that. It's more than that to life. So it is. God is. If I find out the answer to exactly what it is, I'll let you know.
Okay. I think this is your sponsor saying that you're much more of a blessing, that you teach her more than she ever taught you. So I'll have to take that in. Do you want to talk about that relationship with your sponsor and what worked there? Because you mentioned you've been through a few different ones. What worked? Maybe you could out her. What worked this time that didn't work? Didn't work the other times. What's different?
Like the two things, I believe. Three things, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how many things there are. I was willing. I was actually done. She had enormous amount of patience with me even before she became my sponsor. And I didn't feel pressured. I could actually say and do it at the pace that I was capable of taking it in and understanding it and integrating it into me rather than just my mind. Because I could understand what I was supposed to do, but I didn't know how to feel it. Yeah.
We have some more questions here in the chat from Chris and from Lynn. Because she mentioned SLAA, but do you want to answer that? Fellowships you identify with?
Let me. I don't think I understand. I don't think I understood your question.
Do you have other fellowships that you're a part of aside from SLAA?
Well, yes.
CoDA.
My whole group is an SAA. It's called the Nordic group. It's a primary purpose group. They use just the big book, but so I'm primarily. I have other ways that I've tried to control. Like I've used food. I've used Netflix. I've procrastinated. I've used alcohol. That's I came into NA the first time, but then I quit drinking. So I was like, no, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm just, not going to drink anymore. And that's still up for debate. But I've used pretty much everything that my humanity touches to get out of myself. But where I lost control completely was in codependency and sexual love. Sometimes I jokingly say that the only thing I haven't tried is meat hooks. It's quite absurd of the things that I did when I was acting out sexually. So there are those, I would say, are my three things that I'm completely powerless over. Yeah. If not all of my life.
Do you have a question about mental health issues as well?
Okay, yeah, I love those. Please. Okay, how you blend mental health issue with the message of the program, and how do you today live by helping out unselfishly but not get into codependency? Oh, right. How I blend mental health issues with the message. Like I have ADHD and anxiety, and those, well, and depression, and how I interfere that with the message is there's two different things, basically. I am not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I cannot help anyone necessarily with their mental issues or like mental health problems. But what I can help you with is straightening out mentally and physically. So the conditions I cannot treat, but what I can show you is how I got out of it. And some of that was I was speaking to 3 therapists at the same time. And when I came to some sort of awakening, I started to use them honestly, and they could actually help me with what it was that they could help me with, which was my mental health. For the first time in my life, because I used to hop between therapists, right? After 2-3 years, it was like, yeah, we've done everything we can, and I'm not willing to do whatever it is that you're telling me to do. I'll just lie. So now I need to change because they have nothing more for me. So, but then I would have these 3 therapists at the same time, and all of them, independently of each other, told me, Nira, I think you're done. And I agreed with them. Because I could see that they're not the solution to my spiritual problem, but they could help me with. They had helped me with, and I think I can talk about it like how much ever I want, but I think it's also an experience that one must go through. Like if I'm having if I'm feeling in contact with God, which is basically if I can see that I'm blocked, then I'm probably not blocked, because I can see it. It's about this thing in my mind. I cannot trust my mind. I need God to steer my actions and my thinking life. So if I can see that I have a problem, then I'm not totally blocked, right? I talk myself into the corner now. Where's it going? ADHD.
Yeah, talk more about mental health issues and how you handle that in recovery. Maybe you want to talk about properly appointed authorities.
Well, yeah. No, I actually think I've said the thing I wanted to say, which is I need to engage with life. I need to go through the experience of seeking help for my mental health issues, and I cannot use program to rectify the things that I struggle with. That isn't part of the spiritual disease. You know, it's 2 different things. The same thing, I wouldn't go to program and expect for my leg to be wrapped and bandaged. You know what do you call it when you break your leg? You have this cast, right? I wouldn't expect the program to put a cast on my legs. Why would I expect the program to fix my ADHD, to remove it? I mean, right? It's the same thing. Like I gotta live by God. So God, what do you want me to do? Oh, you want me to go to the doctor? Okay, I'll go to the doctor and I cast my leg. Right? Cool. Or I go to the doctor and I get medication or no medication, but I have a conversation with the professionals who know what they're doing. And as a sponsor and helping someone else out with that, it's I can listen. I can listen and be empathetic and but if it's if it's become a mental health issue, I wouldn't use program only.
And that's the thing here, right? We go to the properly appointed authority, but we do find, in the same token, it's not a substitute, but that when we straighten out spiritually, when the spiritual malady is solved, we straighten out physically and mentally. So you might see people who are straightening out spiritually, and all of a sudden they'll start looking really good. They'll start going back to school, et cetera, et cetera. So it won't cure, a mental health issue. It won't cure It won't be Ritalin for ADHD or whatever else people take. It won't be, it won't solve a legal problem for a lawsuit, but you'll see that the thinking is clearer, the functioning is better, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Do we have any other questions here?
I don't know if I touched upon how I sponsor. Let me see here. How do you today live by help others unselfishly, but not get into codependency? And one thing that I do, like, I work this program actively by resting, by pausing. One thing that I can do selfishly as codependent is like, oh, it's up to me. I need to fix them, and it's real tempting sometimes. And sometimes I do stumble. I'm far from perfect. I'm not going to say anything else, but I got to, I got to pause because I can do everything. I'm very capable. I have a strong willpower, if you will. I am. I can persevere and hate it at the same time, until I can't anymore, and my hair just starts falling out and such. But I can't see it, right? But when I'm with God, it's like, oh, but this is not the time. There's this little voice sometimes or feeling, or it's just that, oh, I made a mistake. I don't know how to change it, but if I can help you, I will. And so the question is can I help this individual? And God would usually show me that. I said through prayer and meditation. Usually I try to just relax, and all of a sudden the thoughts just comes. And as I said, it's usually God. And so if there's an action there, I act upon it, then usually it's like, oh, you should rest. Take a breather. So I hope that answered the question.
That's excellent. When you're talking about here in the big book is when agitated, we pause. Agitated can mean a number of different things. When I don't know what to do, when I'm doing too much, when I'm getting in an argument with my brother, my mother, my children, my coworkers, when I'm feeling that knot in my stomach, when I'm stressed out, when I don't know the next right action. This is part of living in 10, 11, and 12. When agitated, we pause. And I really relate to that too, Nira. I feel like so much of my recovery, even though we have a whole chapter called Into Action, and so much of what we learn and teach our sponsees is about the actions we take day in and day out. Part of those actions are waking up praying, God, divorce my thoughts from selfishness, self-seeking, self-pity. Show me how to help others. My job is now to be helpful. Well, see, what codependents like Nira and I learn is that when having emotional hyperventilation, we're actually not very helpful. Not to ourselves, not to others, not to those around us, right? When we're freaking out, when we're obsessing with obsessive thoughts, we cannot be helpful. Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of pause, a lot of slowing down, and we see that a lot of creativity comes in there, a lot of beauty, I really relate to that, Nira. I've learned the magical words of saying, let me think about that, or I will think about that. I don't have to answer anyone or anything, not a landlord, not a tenant, not a boss, not a coworker, just my higher power. And if my higher power wants me calm, happy, joyous, and free, then I can pause, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Okay, so maybe you could give us some final inspiration and then pray us out about how we can, put that pause into our day, give up that busyness or that control or the thinking, the obsessive thinking, the addiction of, putting something in our body, in our brain, in our hearts, in our mouths. Maybe give us some final food for thought and then pray us out, Nira.
Mind reading is futile. Trying to shield myself or ourselves from emotion is futile. It is doomed to fail from the very start. The idea that I'm supposed to feel in a certain way and make myself feel in a certain way, that's also doomed. The only thing that makes me suffer is the fact that I'm not okay with reality as it is. Some people speak of acceptance. Myself, I usually think about God, like God or that experience of authenticity. Authenticity. Hopefully you understand the word that I'm looking for. It's the idea that I cannot fight. So, is there anything else going? Go and play. Do something fun. And with that, I'm going to take you to
Amazing. You hear that, everybody? We're gonna go play. I'm gonna go play with my 14-year-old daughter. We're gonna go shopping. If anyone else wants to share in the chat how they might go play today, I think that would be awesome. Nira, you want to pray us out?
So this is one of my favorite third step prayers in this book, and it's in the story Our Southern Friend. It's on page 115, 215. And it says, God, here I am, and here are all my troubles. I made a mess of things and can't do anything about it. You take me and all my troubles and do anything you want with me. Thank you so much, people, for having me. And thank you, Karen, for asking me to be here twice. So, thank you.
Thank you. This was so beautiful. Thank you so much, here, God. Take all of us on this call. Take all of our problems. And let us be helpful to serve you and your people. Thank you, Nira. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Have a blessed day.
Standing still a moment, carving out this time, reflecting on the landscape of this life of mine. Peaks too high to conquer, streams too wide to cross, troughs too deep to walk through without incurring loss. Yet here I am, still standing tall, despite the rough terrain. One like me survived the storms and walked through wind and rain. Still standing, I will fight the good fight. Still searching for glimmers of light. Feet still on the ground, I can still be found. Standing still.
I still can fly. I may not soar unfettered, I may not rise.
still searching.